Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's Say Report. This is your host, Sejohn, and of course, bringing up the rear, as always, is my host companion.
Devon,
What's going on, man? What's
bringing up
happening?
the rear as always. Like, I don't. What am I supposed to do with that?
All right, all right, all right.
All right, all right, all right. That's what I love about these podcasts. They
Okay.
keep getting longer. I stay the same age. Or something. I don't know.
We did do a logo last week. That's fair, though. That's a fair point.
But yeah, this it was a good one though. I really enjoyed everything we talked about with Far From Home. And I
Yeah, we had to
weirdly
talk about Spider-Man.
and I really realized that that's sort of what we did every July that we've had the Say Report is we had a bug themed sort of breather because 2017 it was Homecoming, last year it was Ant-Man and the Wasp, and this year it was Far From Home. So Marvel knows what they're doing.
Surprise, surprise.
Like it
You
all
gotta see,
works
they're
out.
playing 4D chess there. You gotta understand what they're doing.
The problem is I'm expecting 5D chess. Chess.
Yeah, well,
The word is chess. One night in Bangkok and the tough get tougher.
5D Tetris. Now that would be fucking nuts.
God, 5D Tetris. I don't even like Tetris Sphere. That game just doesn't work for me. I mean, I've gotten okay at it, but if I'm going to play a Tetris game, I'm playing Tetris. I feel like
Tetris
we've
shouldn't
already
involve circles.
lost the thread of what this episode was going to be. 2 minutes in, a new record.
Oh, really? Can you tell me what this episode is going to be, Devin? Because I sure didn't know what it is.
Oh, well, I was probably going to talk about what I did this weekend, which was interesting, but I was going to let you maybe talk about something first before I just dove straight in to the, gosh, madness of Sailfest New London.
Oh, God.
The
All right.
Frank madness.
Um, I bottled some beer this weekend, man.
Nice! Exciting. That's exciting. That is
Yeah,
really
it's
exciting.
yeah. Gotta now. The one last step is for us to figure out what to name it before we start giving it away to people.
And so is it?
Yeah,
It's
we've
ready for distribution?
well, this goes much quicker than I realized. We haven't officially talked about this. I think I've like offhandedly mentioned, but I've been learning to brew since 4th of July. My my family are actually kind of experts at it. I did not realize how good they were at it. So Tess and Hannah have done it for, I guess, a few years on. That's not even being fair. I've been in the family for a few years, so it's even been longer than that. But they used to do batches every now and then, and they haven't since I've been with them. So we just decided that they were going to teach me how to brew beer, and we've been waiting for the great opportunity to do it. And we realized that we had 4th of July where the three of us were just going to be home and doing stuff like together for the first time in like 6 months. So they decided that was a great opportunity. But we had to start like a week early because you have to spend so much time cleaning and sanitizing everything that you're going to use. Like, I like you think about like, oh, it's a food product being made. Of course, you want the area to be sanitary, your tools to be sanitized, and all this stuff. No, this is like because of what's happening on like a chemical level with beer, you cannot introduce like outside bacteria. Like you have to think like clean room esque in a way. And it's funny because you see these dudes that do it in like restaurants or you watch like documentaries, and they know exactly what needs to happen when in terms of that. So like they're doing this shit in like barns. And now I know how much cleaning they have to be doing in between where I'm thinking, why would you do that to yourself? Like get like a nice cement room with a nice like airtight door on it that shit can't come in. But no, so we spent a week cleaning shit, 4th of July putting shit together, and then you have to give it like a week for it to really kind of like ferment. And ours, I think, was actually done sooner than that, but we just, again, didn't have time. But it was okay. We let it sit for a couple of extra days. And then with the bottling process, which is another point at which you have to sanitize everything you're doing and then put it all together. So we got 7 6-packs all together at about $30 worth of material and stuff. We bought a kit for like 20 something bucks, and we had to buy a couple of bottles. But we mostly saved up bottles from drinking. But yeah, man. And then we sat around and we bottled. It's a cream ale. Don't know what to name it yet, though. Got to figure that out.
I'm jealous because I love a cream ale. I honestly
Yeah.
do. On 4th of July, first of all, Bader Meinhof, I just watched Beer Fest tonight. Not for the first time. For about, let's say, the 15th time I watched
Yeah,
Beer
yeah,
Fest. And
yeah.
you talk about, like, the sanitation and everything. There's no reason landfill had to die. You wouldn't have your brewing thing just as, like, an open plexiglass container in a barn. It's the grossest thing about that movie, that they're just like, and they're bottling it and selling it at their grandfather's restaurant, and everybody's loving it. But it's just, it's just an open plexiglass container. A person could fall in there and apparently get sucked down by the yeast, which also seems implausible. I
Hey, man,
really like Beer
gets,
Fest.
That shit gets nasty.
I really like that movie. Beer Fest is kind of like the perfect film for what I love in a movie. Spoilers for a 13-year-old movie at this point.
A comedy that nobody saw then, so I don't think we have to worry now. It's okay.
Did nobody see it then? Like, was I the one who saw it 3 times in theaters?
I think one of those times I was with you. I know one of those times I was with you.
Yes, we saw it together, and then I saw it the Saturday afterwards, and then Dale and I saw some movie, some 2006 movie. It wasn't Clerks. I couldn't tell you what film it was, but it was an August release, so it'd be very difficult to pinpoint it at any time. But like, Dale went and saw Clerks 2 with me in the theater, but my parents were like, "Do not take her to see Beer Fest." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." Like, weird, but she's seen plenty of movies like this. So we
weird line to draw.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, so we went and saw whatever movie we saw. I'd really like to figure it out. It wouldn't have been Transformers because, well, Transformers didn't come out till 2007, so it was a year before Michael Bay blessed us with that. It had to have been some kids film, like, for all intent and purposes. It had to have been some 2006 kids film. It wasn't Shorts. I didn't see Shorts in theaters, which is literally one of my saddest things of my life. I don't have regrets.
Saw that movie in an empty ass theater.
But
that Beer Fest though.
That would be a regret of mine, is that I did not see Shorts in theaters, because that movie's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And after the movie, Beer Fest was right across the hall, and I'm like, Dale, you have to see it. It's your type of humor. It's like what you like in a movie. So we just snuck across and did it, right? What's the statute of limitations on plexing, right? Like, did I just implicate myself in some terrifying way?
We've talked about us doing it since we started this thing, so if we're too deep, Devon. You can just let it all go now.
So we plex over to it, and Dale is nervous the whole time because she's like, "Mom and Dad told me I can't see this movie." But, like, you could see that she was enjoying it.
All the more reason to enjoy it. That's the best way to see an R-rated comedy.
Yeah, so she's 12 at the time, too. So, I mean, like, you need to think mental state and all that. Maybe 11, because, again, it was an August release, so her birthday hadn't come along yet. But it was just one of those things where that movie, when, again, spoilers for that film, Landfill dies because he falls into an inexplicably open beer brewing.
It leads to the funniest part of the whole movie, as far as I'm concerned. But
exactly.
Anyway,
That's exactly. Well, I mean, when they go to his thing, and then his twin brother Gil shows up,
and he just goes, "Don't call me Gil, though."
I really want to, like, honor his memory. So would you call me Landfill?
Call me Landfill.
Oh, and like, I feel like I know all about you guys, so it won't be that awkward getting to know each other phase. It'll be like Landfill never left. It's such good. Like, it's the kind of humor that, like, works for me on every level, and it works for me every time too. Mm-hmm. Like, that scene is never not funny to me. I was happy that, like, I came home with my steak burrito today, and I'm like, I just need something to watch, and I'm like, Beer Fest, yes,
that
please.
One is that in the timeline of Broken Lizard. That is after Club Dread, but before Slam and Salmon, right?
That's correct. It's their 4th film overall, because I count Puddle Cruiser. I know most people don't, but it's their 4th film overall, and it is, like, really where they hit their stride. Like, I mean, Super Troopers is good, but Club Dread, you see that these guys have, like, a more cerebral type of comedy.
Right. Yeah.
That, like, Beer Fest is able to combine what people loved about Super Troopers with that cerebralness that they want to bring to the table.
Right.
It's good. Beer Fest might be their best film. and I love Slammin'
I
Salmon.
might argue that myself, actually, Dev. That's you would not hear much of an argument from me to otherwise. Yeah, man, I love those guys though. Like, I mean, Jay. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher
Chandra
his last
Shakar.
name. Chandra Shakar actually is a guest judge on the first season of Nailed It on Netflix. I suggest everybody watch that episode if you want to see, because I am convinced he's doing a bit the whole time, and everybody else I've watched that episode with are like, no, he's just a jerk. I'm like, no, 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 no. This is if you had seen any of his movies, if you've seen any of his directing work, like this is a bit, but you should go check it out. It's 20 minutes of your life that is not is not a waste.
Well, I just got homework from my podcast, and I couldn't be happier because I love all those guys. I started watching the new show Tacoma FD, like
Yeah.
Tacoma Fire. I've only ever seen the first episode, but already I quote it all the time because it's super funny. It's so
Yeah.
soft, super soft. But yeah, so you talking about brewing beer, all I can think of is like they don't just brew beer for like fun in Beer Fest. They brew it to sell in their restaurant.
Yeah.
And it is
Yeah,
not
man.
hygienic.
No. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
crazy. Like,
apparently
how much
it's set in New Mexico, so we could ask your brother if that's really how things work out there, but
it is the Wild West after all. Yeah, no, so we did that. We got that all bottled up. We've been diving into some Mario Maker. Can we talk about Mario Maker?
This is the episode. This is the Mario Maker episode. Not that we haven't
Okay.
talked about it a little bit before, but this is the one where like we leave that call to arms to be like send us levels and we'll play them.
Yes,
because
please.
I have enjoyed immensely receiving levels from you. And I was hoping you would bring it up because I didn't want to be all braggy about how I broke your level in Evening Scroll. But if
Well,
you
so-
bring it up,
So yeah, okay. So too late. But so you got to explain to me exactly what you mean, but like how you broke it, because I haven't even been able to quite get the gist of like. So here's the thing that I was the story of me making levels. I think that I should do that first,
Oh, yeah.
so that you understand exactly what it means when Devon defies my law as creator and maker. It's exactly the opposite of that though. Like I don't when I think of the best Mario levels, I think of World 2-1 in Super Mario World, where like it's the first time that key exits are introduced, like separate exits are introduced. And so the idea that you can play that level and not see pieces of it, the idea that you can fly through most of that level and literally not see any of it. It's also the first time I think the feather's introduced, so you can kill that first dude when he comes at you, snag that feather, fly over everything, and skip the entire level if you're not, if you're nasty.
right. I mean,
But, like,
just because it's eating me up inside, Donut Plains 1 is the official
yes.
title of that level. And it's really cool because up to that point, like you've gotten to experience Yoshi, but everything else about it is basic Mario. Like they haven't really introduced any of the new mechanics until you hit
World 1
Donut
is very
Plains 1.
Mario. World 1 is very Mario Brothers, and then it becomes Super Mario Brothers. The one other thing besides Yoshi that they introduce is the Switch Palace,
Right.
that I really love. I think that's also a really important mechanic that Super Mario Brothers introduces, right? So yeah, so like there's this sense of like, for me, there should never just be one way to go through a level. There should never just be one thing to do in a level. There can be a critical path. It should be a critical path, but like have ways around that, have ways to play with that, have ways to go back on that, or reasons to go back on that, like that whole thing. And it's so when I build my levels, I tend to try and remember that, like, okay, I'm going to play test this. Oh, I found this other way of doing it. And there'll be a moment where I'll say, should I block that? And sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll put a wall up because I realize, oh, you can just fly over this. But other times I'll be like, nah, that's just Mario. Like, that's just the way of the level. Like, oh, this cloud, if you get in this cloud, you could pretty much bash through this entire quote unquote boss section I created. Oh, well, like, it's just part and parcel for like what a Mario level should be to me, right? So I've created only 2 levels so far fully. I've actually finished a third, but I've discovered the sound effects and music section, which is much more expansive in this one than it was in the first one. Yeah, so I've actually been finished building the level for 2 days. I've actually been like slowly adding like fart sounds to it since then. Like, so that's on its way. But I did 2 types of levels. I did a very, very baseline, like here's what like a basic Mario level is to me. It's got all sorts of silly ass mechanics and stuff in it that you'd never see in an actual Mario game because it is Mario Maker. I feel like part of the essence of that game is the weird shit, like, oh, I can put a cat suit on Bowser now, like that sort of crap. But at the same time, it's also not going to be something that's going to challenge your sensibilities as a Mario player, right? Like you're not going to be offended as a Mario purist with my first level, an Evening Scroll, which is the one that you're talking about. And then I did an asshole level because I had to do at least one.
And I loved that asshole level. What I really loved about that asshole level is you sent it out to our Discord right as I was leaving work. Like I was waiting for Dale to come pick me up. I didn't have my car that day. So
Right.
I loaded it up and then I downloaded it because I'm like, well, I'd like to try it, but I don't think I tried it once and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to finish this while I still have an internet connection.
Right.
And I'm like, and I'll download it. And I really didn't think that I was going to be playing my Switch while Dale and I was driving around. But then Friday, accidents all across Rhode Island. Like
Yeah.
that's literally what the news was that night, was deadly crash on 295 and all of these, like, and then because all the traffic was rerouting itself, accidents were happening on these roads that aren't used to that volume of vehicle. So it ended up taking us like 90 minutes to get home. And after an hour
gross.
in the car, I'm like, I'm going to start playing Mario Maker. I hope that's not rude.
You can drive the long way through Rhode Island in 90 minutes on a good day.
Yeah. So, and we were trying to like cut through back to like 116, and just Route 6 had 2 accidents on it in addition to everything that we had seen getting to Route 6. It was not cool. And yeah, so I had started it and I'm like, all right, I got this. I understand this level. And then even then, I ended up not doing your intended route. But your brother got the first clear because he had that internet connection.
Like he had been working on it since like 11 o'clock that morning too.
Yeah. So that was
He earned
fun.
that first clear.
He definitely earned that first clear.
And so and I think I was saying this last week a little bit. Like I'm not a huge fan of levels that are assholish just to be assholish. I don't know if you talked about it on the show or not, but Devon, you and I had talked about that level where like somebody had hidden spikes behind something, like in a way, like move things around in a way where you couldn't see spikes, and that's the douchiest thing in the universe, to just like put hidden blocks in places. That's not fun to me. Like I don't know, that's just not right. That being said, I don't mind something that's going to challenge you, so what I did was a lot of stuff where like you see how you're supposed to get through it. It's just a matter of doing it. That is actually the thing that's going to kill you, right? The biggest example of that is the drop at the end, where like you drop straight down, and if if I hit this button at the right moment, I will jump just fine, things will be okay. But doing that is not always the easiest part. Right?
Well,
so
I would like to say, since I can't share the video with you, I might have a video of it and I could send it, but I didn't fuck with that little bounce that you had at the end. Pixel perfect knew when to move Mario so that he would land on that moving platform.
Nice. Very
and I'm
nice.
like, I'm not fucking with that bounce. I don't want to deal with that. I hate you for that, Sejohn.
And see, like that's exactly what I'm talking about. Where like that's perfect. That's awesome that you found a way around my intended way, but not a way that I don't feel like that breaks anything. So that's why I'm really interested to hear what you have to say.
Evening Scroll, I broke. I 100% broke it. So first of all, I loved your little description of don't forget your jaunty little hat. But I didn't find out until later that if you duck while holding a shell, you put it on your head.
Yeah.
So the first time I played that level, I didn't wear that Buzzy Beetle helmet. I damage boosted through the icicle section and still had enough invincibility to land on the spike platform. And then I rushed through. And I was pretty happy with my minute 6 clear. Like, I was pretty happy with that, considering I'm like, I don't know how to wear my jaunty little hat, you stupid bastard. I found it. I know what you want me to do. I don't know how to do that. And I left for work, And I'm like, well, I'm never, like, I cleared it. I'm happy with the clear. I have the world record. I doubt that anyone else is going to beat that world record because I already kind of maneuvered through it in a way that probably wasn't intended. But then the thing about Mario Maker is it totally makes me understand how every like mobile game developer wants you to act with their game in terms of like daily user like logins and retention, because before I go to sleep every night, I am logging into Super Mario Maker to see if I lost any of my world records or, you know, I posted my first level last night and it's fun to see that like 5 people have played my level, because I'm like, it's a pretty basic level, but I like the concept that I put into it.
Excellent. Well, so yeah, you posted that late last night, and the first thought in my head was, I was in bed, and I was like, should I go get my Switch? And I can't do that. I can't be the guy that's
you can't be the person who does it. I get that. I totally understand it. But then Dale, I'm like, I just posted the level. She's like, oh, I need your copy of Mario Maker because I want to get the first clear on this one. I want to beat the other guys. And I'm like, okay. And she did it. I'm proud of her for doing it. But she was getting frustrated. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think I had made that hard a level. Yay. But I come home. I did your Pixel Perfectionist one. And I'm like, oh, good, good, good. And then I get see the notification that I lost the world record on an evening scroll. And I'm like, oh, damn. Well, I need to get it back. I just flat need to get it back. And what ended up happening was I played through it and I got to that second section after the icicles and I foolishly fell from that sky section. And that was when I realized that that sky section is just above the beginning of the level.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So if I could get up there on my own, but what really happened and what was like, what makes me feel like I broke your level, if you did this intentionally, right, I'll know if you're lying, Sejohn. I want you to know that. So don't take credit for something you didn't intend to do.
Okay.
That time that I fell and learned it, I'm like, well, maybe I can get back up there. I know there's that Cooper I can jump on, whatever. Instead, I wall jumped off the lower section of the wall because the scroll was so close. And it pushed me into the higher section of the wall, and I was able to wall jump again, and it pushed me to land where the Goombas are. It didn't kill me, it pushed me forward. So, like, it assisted me to land in that place. And then I'm like, well, I know the level from here. But then I'm like, oh, I bet I can use that push to bypass that whole secondary icicle area. And if I cut off, like, the 2 pipe travels and all that, I'll definitely cut off time.
Very nice.
So, but then it ended up, what I ended up being able to, and this one I believed was probably intentional, if you jump off the Bullet Bill launcher and wall jump off the higher section and land on that Koopa Troopa, pixel perfect, you can land where the Goombas are.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where, again, I discovered in playtesting that it was never intentional. I won't act like that. But it's one of those things that I discovered in testing that I didn't care to fix. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, that was not what I mean at all. But all right, sure. Like, and like I said, like, that's part of the joy is feeling like you got away with something. Like, you should have that sense of, I discovered something the developer didn't mean for me to. Even if I did, I still want you to feel that way, because that's more important to me, that you feel good like that as you're playing a game than it is, you know. And this is stupid. Like, I've designed a handful of fucking levels in my life in Mario Maker and only like 2 in Mario Maker 2. So I shouldn't, like, I don't mean to sound like I've done this for like my whole life, but like when I'm doing it, and now because when I go and play other games, yeah, it's all I can think is like, okay, if I was designing this level, you know, it turns you into the worst kind of fucking armchair developer. Like, well, I've done a little bit of this. I've dabbled. I know what I'm doing now, so I can say this, right? And like it really does make you rethink the way that you play any other game. Like Mario Maker, the way that it makes you rethink video games is pretty fucking awesome. I mean, like, so you mentioned the idea that you realized for the first time that part of the level was above the original. Well, I mean, like that's kind of just by necessity in Mario Maker, and honestly, probably in most games. Like I remember now, like the old walkthrough Prima guides that I used to have for like Donkey Kong Country, where the maps were just laid out just straight lines, and it never occurred to me that like this is a continuous thing for me to think about until I had that in front of me, and I was like, oh, okay, so now I know that if I go and I get this animal here, I can go back there and do this thing. This is all one continuous line. And in Mario Maker, they show you like there's not that much space to work with. We have to keep things short and sweet for space, but that's what developers always have to think about is space, especially on fucking carts and shit like that. So like there's this idea that I wonder if this is how Mario has always been made, and if there's like ways to go back and look at the way that Mario is the way the levels are laid out there. I bet you there's that kind of stuff there too. And I know there is because I used to find that kind of crap when I was a kid, probably more intentionally, like probably because developers wanted me to. But it really does make you think about the way that games have been made, will be made, and right, and the idea that that kind of shit is in there. It's in there. You just got to look for it.
Right. I mean, for me, I knew that there were clouds above it, but my brain never like connected that it was the exact same space because by the time I was through that icicle section and the pipe to the next area, even though it was a return to the first area, I was like, I want a better score. I want to go faster. I want to go faster. So I never connected them until I made that fall. And I'm like, well, I'm dead. Oh, no, I'm not dead. I should be dead. Oh, Sejohn. I'm going to break your level. And you talk about wanting to create a level that gives you that same sense of, like, I'll call it wonder that a Super Mario game gives to a person when they're playing it for the first time. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was okay continuing to play Evening Scroll, because it did feel every time like I was learning something new, or there was at least a little bit more to discover. So, like, humble brag on my part, but, like, I'm also going to heap nothing but praise on you for the 2 levels that you have presented. Because they're good. I mean, I've played some awful levels, I'm not going to lie. I've made some awful levels that are really just, like, get the star and kill stuff until you hit the end of the level.
For sure. Yeah,
like,
no.
Like, because that's fun for me, because I can, like, give it a stupid, cute name, and then it's still like, oh, man, hope you killed enough guys.
Yeah. And right now we're limited in our scope of Mario Maker 2. Much like in the early days of Mario Maker where like everything was an auto level. Like we'll get to the point where people realize they could do more than some of these things that we've been doing a lot of. Been seeing a lot of switch races, like like on off switch like runs that are cool the first time you see them, but I'm starting to get a little sick of them. But I think it's because it's literally like the second mechanic they introduced to you in the game in terms of like the story mode and stuff like that. So I'm sure that a lot of people have been playing with them because a lot of people have that's what they've seen so far.
Well, there's that, and there's also the fact that like people lost their minds over slopes, and that's fine. I don't personally. The only thing I've lost my mind about on slopes is if you press down on an upward slope and you have enough momentum, you still get slope mode, so you can kill stuff. Like the same way you can kill the Big Boo in Super Mario World. Because when you're going down a slope, you're basically invincible. Like, that's the coolest thing about Mario across the board. And the fact that it's implemented towards, like, if you have momentum and you press down, you'll move forward up the slope. I love that. But what I lost my mind with those on-off switches, probably for the same reason that everybody lost their mind regarding slopes, and that being such a part of Super Mario Bros. 3 and Mario World, is that those switches, like the on-off switches in that type of racing, was what multiplayer was on Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for Game Boy Color.
Okay.
So a lot of those things that you see, the problem, and this is a problem, like me and your brother, we definitely did some co-op, and it sucks that in order to do a co-op level, it needs to be beaten single, because it means that no level that we've played felt like it was co-op necessary.
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't realize that about the single thing. Oh, because by the creator, it needs to be beatable by a single person.
Right. Now there's co-op building, right? Like you can co-op make. So I don't know if you co-op make, then you can do the upload clear with 2. I have not experimented with that enough. I haven't seen a single level that does it, and it
Yeah.
kind of bums me out. But what I
Well,
have seen
that's
is
because as a maker, just to put a point on that, is because it's hard to think about sitting around making with another person. I mean, first of all, I don't know how we'd ever find the time because it took me 6 hours of just sitting at that thing. You know what I mean? So like co-op making doesn't appeal to me, but in the sense of co-op leveling, oh man, yeah, that's weird. That's really weird.
I mean, the thing is, because they showed clear levels that required two people to beat them at the Invitational at E3, but you could just build it and place it in CourseBot, and that could be how they loaded that level. And that would
Right,
work completely fine, and you'd be able to make levels like that. But there doesn't seem to be a way to do that online, which is still strange to me. And the
yeah.
online is this whole other can of worms.
Yeah,
Like
oh God,
it
the
is a
lag.
slog. It is
Yeah,
awful. I really hope that eventually there is the. I mean, they said that you'll get the ability to play with friends, and I think that we could have fun with that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
again, almost all of them. But what I have also found are faithful recreations of all four Super Mario Deluxe versus stages that
Nice.
make me so happy because the chance to play versus in Super Mario Brothers Deluxe were so few and far between. And then in addition to that, you only had 4 levels. So like it was a fun weekend thing you did once when your friend
Right,
who
right.
also owned that game had his link cable with him. But it's
Man.
that's what really works for me. And I just wish that we could have more co-op experiences. We did on Saturday before I went to Sailfest, which I still intend to talk about. Uh, we had 4 people just sitting around our friend's house, and I'm like, "Hey, let's try co-oping all 4 of us through the levels that you've built." And some of them, they're just not built for that, because it's like finish this level with a cape, and there are only 3 feathers and 4 people.
Oops.
So, and other ones, the way that co-op works, I don't necessarily love. I understand it, but the camera tracks to whoever's the furthest behind.
Oh, that sucks. So,
So,
there should be some effort to make that person catch up. Like, no offense, but like there should be some effort to push them along and like you shouldn't be punished for being faster than your friends. That's ridiculous.
right. And that's one of the things where when Zach and I first did 100 Ways to Hit a P-Switch, a lot of it was, all right, now you have to die because I'm going too high for you to get to because I'll have hit all the P-Switches that you need to get up there. Like it
Yeah.
was a lot of coordinating when only one of us would be on the screen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, we'd both end up dead. Because if you're off screen, you die. It's just weird. So there were a bunch of levels that Justin has built that require you to climb up high and then take a leap of faith. And it's like, we
Hmm.
can't do this with 4 people because it tracks the last person. So that first person, even if they made the jump correctly, dies before the camera gets to them. And it's like, that's a weird oversight. But it's an oversight that doesn't matter in terms of the majority, you know? Because I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people haven't done the co-op thing.
Well, yes. Okay. In that case, yes. I thought you meant the majority of people that play that version are going to have to deal with that problem. I was going to say it sounds like anybody that plays that version is going to deal
Oh,
with that.
everyone who
But
plays that version is going to deal with that Sejohn.
right, right. But
But
nobody's playing that.
nobody's playing
Sure.
that. People are doing endless course mode. People are
Yeah.
making. And what I really want, what like, if I had like a bucket list desire for Super Mario Maker 2, it would be for them to release a mouse for the Switch. Because I don't
Okay.
like making on the controller, and I
Hmm.
don't like making in handheld mode.
Yeah, I think that they've really kind of failed in that aspect compared to the first. I don't mean that they failed overall. As you've seen, I've made 2 complete levels with no real issues. But I have to say that the Wii U, because of everything that the Wii U was, really did allow for some really good quality combo making playing in a way that the Switch is not doing it for me yet. Part of that is because I don't have my own stylus, and I'm working on that. Like I am doing my research to figure out exactly which one I want to invest in and that sort of shit. Like that's how into this I am right now. Um,
I know. Like, are
But
you going to buy the $40 powered one because it's literally
right,
the best?
right,
Or
yeah. There's some stuff to think about, you know.
yeah, no, I
You
get
know
it.
me. I'm
Trust
just
me,
gonna
I
go
get
outside and
it.
get a stick.
Yeah.
Um, but
Do you have a
like
3DS? Use that stylus.
that's true. I do not, but I forgot because I think if I was going to invest $40 into a stylus, why don't I invest a little bit more into just getting a used 3DS? Then I have a 3DS.
I mean, you
Um,
could get a 2DS new for a little bit more than that. I think it'd be like 20 more, and it would come with a game. Probably
yeah,
Super
but
New
it's a
Super Mario Brothers 2.
2DS.
Oh, well, don't be like that. It's just discontinued
I don't.
anyway.
I
Switch
like the
Lite. We
3D.
didn't talk about the
Um,
Switch Lite. Do you like the 3D? Are you the guy?
I love the 3D. I am not like a like there are some nutballs out there that are just like 3D all the time, all the time. No, no, but I like turning it on when you need it. There's certain games that call for it, and that ability is pretty baller. I'm not against the 3D. Let's put it that way.
I
Um,
played
we didn't.
Star Fox 64 3D for the first time because it was like $10 last week to buy.
Mhm.
That, oh my God, Star Fox 64, which I love, don't get me wrong, it's currently in my N64, but that game is so much better if you can actually see stuff in space.
Yeah, right.
Like Sector Y, I had no problem getting 100 hits because I saw literally everything that was flying and was able to aim and kill it.
Yeah,
Sorry to
yeah,
like
pretty awesome
derail,
shit.
but like,
No, no, I was
but
gonna
yeah,
say we have not talked about the Switch Lite. We should probably put a mention out to that. Um, but yeah, like Mario Maker's been pretty awesome. Like I'm really excited. There obviously there's some things about it that are troubling right now. The online's a real pain, like disappointment. To like there's no other word for it. It's just disappointing right now. But they could fix it. You know, like there's nothing stopping them from. These are not inherent issues with the system or anything like that. Like they can fix this stuff. I know they can.
yeah. So the one thing I am gonna share because I came across it last night on just like Twitter, and I'm like, well, that makes sense, and it's kind of weird that they didn't just implement it from the beginning. When you're making a level, drag all the stupid stuff onto Mario, like the helmet and the spike helmet and the dry bone shell, because then if you hold your finger on him so you can like just give him a power up to see how it will react in that section, those will be in that shortcut list too. Like you have to build your shortcut list instead of just having everything available from the start. When you talk
Oh,
about like the little things that we still don't know yet,
yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
one where I'm like, that's cool that someone figured
yeah.
that out, but why wouldn't you give them every
I,
possible option from the beginning?
Yeah, it's weird. The workarounds like that feel like a band-aid sometimes as opposed to development. Like it's like they realized in the last minute, shit, we didn't do this right. Like let's give them a workaround. I will also point out one other thing that we did talk about last week that I just want to comment on is the slowly teaching you that Mario Maker did. I am kind of missing that right now. The fact that they gave me everything all at once is not as helpful as you think. Like because there's things in there that I don't know what they do. I don't know how they act. It's not. I wish that they had doled things out to me a little bit more piecemeal. Maybe not as piecemeal as the first game did, but the fact that I just had everything all at once has been one of the most daunting things to get over. And I also feel disappointed that I'm not doing more silly shit, but it's because I don't know where the silly shit is yet. Like this thing that you're pointing out, I almost wonder if that's something that we would have learned along the way if it had been, parsed out to us as opposed to just thrown at us.
Right. But as someone who plays, not makes, I love that
Yes,
everything was available from the beginning because
for
I have
sure.
gotten to play some incredible levels. I mean, last week, oh, I want to tell the chicken wing story too. I'm going to leave it for Dale. But if she doesn't tell it, remind me about the chicken wing story. I'm not banned from another chicken wing place. But oh my God. So these chicken wing places
Got
need to
close.
learn how to run themselves like better. I don't get it. I don't get. I'm going to tell the story. What the hell? And then I'm going to end it with Mario Maker, and then we'll go into Sailfest. Last
Got it.
Tuesday, we go to a local chicken wing place. I'm not going to put them on blast, right? Well, I'm not going to go there. Whatever. It was Boneheads in West Warwick. I don't care. I'm gonna say it because I'm not going to go there again. And I don't get it. I don't understand, and it's probably because they don't have to, right?
Well, you see,
They
a chicken is a bird.
yeah.
Where were we, like how far back do we have to go here? Like they evolved from dinosaurs, so you're
Right.
eating
So
dinosaur.
eating
Feel good
dinosaur
about that.
makes me feel super cool. No, it's on Tuesdays they do a special called Yings and Wings, which it's a pint of Yingling and 7 chicken wings and a side of fries for $10.
That's ridiculously stupid. That's like something out of a fucking sitcom. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm right. Like, that's pretty good deal.
I, yeah, it's a good deal. It's just the fucking name and the event is just like something that on a King of Queens episode.
Yes, you're not wrong. Featuring promotional consideration paid for by Yingling. So we went there like 2 Tuesdays ago, and we sat down, and they didn't like say, "Are you here for this?" or anything like this, or "Here are our specials tonight." Like, you had to be in the club to know that they do that.
Oh, oh,
Which seems like
okay.
weird that they wouldn't be like, "Oh, and it's Tuesday, so we're doing our Yings and Wings special." And then, that's how you say it. And then the person can be like, "Oh, what's that?" Like, and I ordered a pint of Yingling anyway. Like, what?
And didn't say to you,
I
"Hey,
didn't
did you know
say-
about this promotion that's going on? Because
Yeah.
you're ordering this, you get all right."
So
That's
it seemed weird but then we knew that on Tuesdays, this is a thing that's happening. So last Tuesday we go, figuring we'll get chicken wings. It'll be nice. We go and we say, we're going to use the Yings and Wings. The girl, though, the waitress says, "Oh, we actually don't have any draft beers tonight." No explanation as to why. We have no draft beers tonight. But doesn't
Then
offer.
what are you doing open? You're a fucking wing bar. Like, what are you doing if you don't have fucking beer on
Well, they
draft?
got bottles and cans, but they're not
Oh,
offering
great.
a replacement for the special. We're just not running the promotion tonight because we don't have draft beers. So I'm like, well, I'll just order chicken wings, and then I'll just get 7 chicken wings and a soda, right? Like, you're not getting alcohol money from me.
You
And
don't have
Dale
the thing
does-
I can.
Yeah, and Dale does the same. And then she's like, "And did you guys want to do a side of fries?" And we're like, no, we don't. We were only getting fries because it was part of your special. Like, what?
Yeah, don't push the not special on me.
Like, oh my God. Like, don't ask me to, like, first of all, we're not getting alcohol because you don't have draft beer. And part of the reason I go to a bar is to have beer on draft. I don't know if that's a crazy thing. Am I like the person?
Well, that's what I was saying. Is what's the fucking point of going out to a wing bar? At that point, you could just buy everything that you wanted to get at a fucking supermarket and go home in the comfort of your own home.
Yes. I could have gotten takeout from this place. So then we get our wings, we eat our wings and whatever. And then, it's closing down, and they had music bingo going on there. But then after music bingo ended, they didn't turn on the sound system again.
So was it?
So
like,
it was
get out, we're closing?
silent. Well, I mean, they were closing in a little bit, but they were still open for 40 minutes, 30, 40
Yeah.
minutes. But it's
Yeah.
silent at this place that it's a rock and roll themed wing bar. So silence is weird. And then I
It's
hear
sad almost. It's like it lets you think too much about the choices you've made that have brought you here to this place.
right. And then I hear Eminem, and I'm like, it's not rock, but it's not bad, right? Like, I'm okay that Eminem is playing. And then the manager, clearly the manager, he looks like freaking Frank from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just sitting at a high top in the bar on a laptop. And he's like, "Would you kindly remind the kitchen that we're not closed yet?" So he made them turn down the Eminem.
Aw.
And I'm like, some music is better than no music. What's
So
wrong?
yeah, if you're gonna be shit and be like, "Hey, we're not closed yet," tell them to turn that off. Hey, you're not closed yet. Turn the music back on.
Right? So that's weird. So then, it's 20 minutes to close, and I'm literally just waiting for my check, right? We've been done, and the service hasn't been great because they had an event or whatever. All I need is my check so I can pay and end this, right? This very weird situation. And our waitress goes over to the manager, and she's like, "So what are we going to do for, the after work drink for the staff?" And he goes, "Oh, we're still going to do Yingling. Yingling's working fine." What?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So the check got dropped. I just threw down the cash and we left. And then I'm like, I can't. I don't. What? So I mean, I had picked up little things. It seems like there was an issue with their cooler, and that's why the draft stuff wasn't working. But then for him to say yeah, Yingling's still working fine, so everyone's just gonna have a Yingling tonight. I'm like, that's the special.
That's this.
That's
You could have
that's
made
the
money.
I would have spent more money here, and I'd come back. But now I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
just
that
this.
seems super fucky, man.
It was
You
weird.
have the worst luck. You have the weirdest fucking luck
I'm
with these
just like,
places.
I didn't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, though I'll be honest, I don't even know. I don't need to tell any more of it. It was just like the like I don't understand. Like, whatever. I can't live in it anymore. I've already moved past it. But just thinking about the thing that helped me move past it is that while we were there, Zach sent out a level code for a Metroid themed Super Mario Maker level that was
Oh.
exceptional.
Yeah.
That I still have world record on
Wait, so not
because
his, but
no, he just one that he found.
one that he
And
found.
I don't know. Me and your brother have kind of bonded over the fact that I love Metroidvanias in a weird way.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why he sent it. He's like, I saw it on a stream and I knew you'd love it. And I played it and I've optimized movement tech and everything to get my world record down to where it is. And it just makes me so happy. So like, you know, lose a chicken wing place, gain an excellent level of Super Mario Maker. That's what happened for me last week.
Thus saith the Lord.
Okay.
Well, that's not all that happened to you last week, because you did Sail Fest, my
Yeah, time to sell out with my sail out.
boy. All right.
Oh my god. So, invited to Sailfest. Like we're going to Sailfest. Now I didn't know what that meant at all. But the capper was they do $1 million fireworks display.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Okay.
"Oh, okay." And in the back of my mind I'm like, I fucking hate fireworks. And it's not like it's not that I hate fireworks. It's just one of those things where
But
it's twofold. Fold one is I've never really understood the appeal.
okay.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, as a kid I got it, but like as I've gotten older, I'm like, yeah, I mean they were cool when I was younger, but you know. But then I think that fold two is the reason why, and that's I've been pyrotechnic certified for 12 years. I've done that stuff. So a lot of the magic is gone for me.
Kind of, but you got to understand that like there's an impermanence to fireworks. There's a beauty that is only there for but a moment with fireworks. Like that's the thing is there's an aesthetic to them, and my favorite part of that whole aesthetic, because I punched my microphone in
I
anger
heard it. It was
at you.
lovely.
No, and but my favorite part of the aesthetic of the idea of the fireworks display is the idea that it is gone. Like it is not something that you will ever see anything like again. Like you might see something similar at your next fireworks show, but not that same one. You know, it's crazy. It's something that brings out like the little kid in all of us, and the little kid inside you is clearly dead.
Oh, don't do that. It's alive for plenty of other things. It's just dead for that one thing. And I think it's an issue of like, I saw how the sausage is made. So like the magic is gone. It's why like I would never want to get a job at Disney. Cause you know, if I saw those hidden tunnels and really how the people were treated, I don't think that'd be like, oh, Disney magic is fucking crushed hopes and dreams.
I think the better example that I think everyone can relate to is you always want to watch the Muppets on TV. You never want to be on set with them because the second that you realize that it's a dude with his hand up Kermit's ass, that it's not the same anymore.
Right, and yet I'm still going to see a live taping of the Banana Splits in August. But I'm sorry. But yeah, so I was just like, but I like these people and I figured it'll be a fun time. I had fun. I don't want to say wrong outright. But like I've been to festivals before and I've been to Pride in Providence and I've seen like Waterfire and those are like kind of citywide festivals.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a citywide festival to the level that Sailfest is in New London.
You mean because like everybody and their fucking mother is there for the sacrifice? Yeah.
Everybody in the mother's room there for the sacrifice. Roads are closed down and then filled with like carnival vendors. In addition to the fact that the pier is a carnival. It's
Yeah,
just
man,
like
it's crazy.
it's crazy. I'm like, this is nuts. I didn't realize what this was going to be. And then like we found this bar that was awesome. Shout out to the 33 in New London. Because it felt like an old school punk bar.
Oh, nice. That's
And
fucking
I
awesome.
was vibing with the bartender super hard because of his playlist. I'm like, this is awesome music. And then someone put the Gorillas on the jukebox, and he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, eh. He's like, at least it's the Gorillas.
There
like,
are worse things that could have killed punk, but yeah.
so, and then like a punk band started playing, and that's when we left. But it was just so cool. But then like you get to the street, and I'm like, I don't want to spend $12 for fried Oreos.
Yeah, see,
I
you told that story wrong. What you should have said is the punk band started, and that's where you spent the rest of the night.
Yes,
The
and
end.
if so, here's the thing of it is that I didn't have my own car. I was at the whim of the
Mhm.
people I went, right, and I had to dance with the people who brought me, right, dance with the one who brought you, and so that's the thing because I would have stayed in that $2 cans of PBR.
Nice.
I would have I would have like them like this is my speed. I would not sit where I'm sitting because I'm too close to the PA. But I moved down to the end so I can enjoy the music and keep drinking all night.
Yeah,
Zang.
it's halfway to a Philly special. $2 for a PBR. All you need is a shot of well whiskey to go with it, and you're good.
Yeah. Oh, it was good. That place was awesome. But then we walked like closer and closer to the pier to like see the fireworks. And like one of the people I was with was hungry, and we were going down that street, and it's like I don't think there are any food vendors this way, so they just turn around. But like other members of the group were further ahead, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna go catch up with them so that they don't think they lost us. Like, and I'm spending time with them, and they're like friends. Like I've known them for about a year. I'll say about a year, right, just to be safe. But like I've never gotten that like one-on-one time with those two. So like that was a nice like bonus of Sailfest was getting to spend time with these people who like, oh well, I'd rather go here than walk down and try to get food on this street. And it was another bar, and I'm like, yes, I would love to go into another bar. Sign me up for more alcohol. And that was the cool thing. It's like, but that was also the weird part. It's like all these bars are here, but then you putting stuff in front of the bars. So it's like hard to get to the bars. The whole thing was like a sort of like, it wasn't anarchy because there was a clear like plan and guidance behind it.
Yes, they all understood their place in the great plan.
Oh, thank you for sounding
the
crazy.
the town the town fair stuff will always and forever have a weird space in my mind, and part of that is because of all the time that I spent in Bowling Green, Ohio. They do I was about to say beer fest. They do what they call the Black Swamp Festival every year. And it's an amazing blues and rock concert mixed with like a local arts fest. But it's very much that idea of what you're talking about. They literally shut down Main Street, and I don't know if anybody out there knows anything about Bowling Green, but it's only two streets. It's Center Street and Main Street. So they shut down one of them completely, and they cut Center Street in half because they go right across it with Main, and like it just shuts the town down. So people have to walk everywhere for like a week. Everybody is just and there are straight up places that are like, we're closing down for the week because there's no way you're going to get in the front door to go to work. So don't worry about it. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, it's nuts when people get invested in this and the whole town is just there. Be a part of it.
Yeah, it was. And then trying to drive out was a cop almost got hit. He was like, it was like at a T intersection. He's facing the T and he waves those people to go. And the person in the car next to us guns it. And I'm like, I almost watched that man die.
Man.
And like that
Only
guy,
sail fest.
it was, I mean, I'm glad that I did it. Honestly, I might do it again. I'm not going to lie to you. Like the second bar we went to had a balcony and a rooftop bar that you could have bought passes to. I would do that. Are you like drinking all night? I don't even care if it's expensive alcohol that I'm drinking. That's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be standing on the pier watching fireworks.
Yeah, there's very few festivals that I think I would ever care to revisit. Like, I'm never disappointed when I go to a festival. I always have a good time, but it's very rare that I think of one where I'm like, I want to do that one again. But I gotta say, German Fest in Toledo,
Awesome.
Ohio. We got a very we had a friend who had backstage passes, a little bit like you're talking about with like that like overstage area.
Yeah.
And so he had exclusive access to three very particular drafts of beer. Some local brewers, three of them had come together and each made a separate one to serve to only the VIP room. And he had brought, he was sneaking them out to us. And like, so like I had like exclusive beer. I got to see the most amazing like fucking can German girl show to, I believe, Numa Numa, if I'm not mistaken. I got like it was crazy. I think that night, I'm pretty sure that Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish was playing like that concert that night that I was there. It was fucking wild. Yeah.
I mean, the one that for me like that, the one that I experienced like that, I believe it's Camden, New Jersey. Every summer, Quick Check, which is their like Cumberland Farms, does a balloon festival.
Okay, all right.
And I had gone up there. Mike Del Vecchio from college, his mother worked at Quick Check, and he's like, guys, the Gym Blossoms are playing at Balloon Fest, and I can get us in because my mom works there. And I'm like, yeah, yes, the Gym Blossoms. That would be awesome. So we go to Balloon Fest, and again, that like same VIP treatment because he was family of a Quick Check person. So there was like the Quick Check family tent and all that. And then the Gym Blossoms show, this is like literally top 5 concert moments ever, is seeing the Gym Blossoms in New Jersey. And it's because they had like cordoned off is wrong. They had put up like the steel fence that they do at concerts. And in front of the steel fence, there was like 12 rows of chairs. Like it was 144 chairs. It was a 12 by 12 seating area. And those tickets were like $50, $75. Like you had to pay to be seated, but anybody could just go and stand at the fence and see the Gin Blossoms playing.
Oh man.
So like I'm right up front at the fence, and I'm like, oh, the seating, and his Mike's like, yeah, we still would have had to buy the tickets for that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. This is fine for me. And that was the thought of everybody. Nobody bought those, so there's just 12 empty rows of seats between all of these people there to see the Gin Blossoms and the Gin Blossoms. So after the first song, the singer goes, you know what? Let's make this a fucking rock and roll show. Break that gate. And it's me at the gate. So I break the gate open. And he's like, come on down. So we all storm the stage. And it like becomes like this cool, like everybody's just now standing up at the Gin Blossoms listening to them.
That's how the Gin Blossoms died.
No, I mean like it didn't go further. There was a secondary gate, so like, and they were on a stage, so it's not like we rushed a stage and killed the Gin Blossoms. It wasn't in Springfield, wherever. Right? Like it wasn't an episode of The Simpsons. I think of Green Day dying in The Simpsons movie.
In The Simpsons movie, yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't that. Like there was still
Gentlemen,
some
it's been a
order.
playing with you. Oh man.
But it was just like this cool thing where I'm like, man, like I knew the Gin Blossoms were cool, but that was fucking rock and roll.
Yeah, man.
Like and everybody was like just in on it. And those chairs, they just like, I don't know what happened to those chairs, Sejohn.
But there's something special about a fair. I don't know what it is. It's like you go and you're allowed, like you don't have to worry about eating well. You don't have to worry about behaving yourself. You know what I mean? Like it really is like fucking bacchanal. Like you show up and you're like, deep fried everything? Sure, fuck that. Oreos, Snickers, gummy bears, give it to me. I'm on them all.
How do you deep fry a gummy bear? Have you had a deep fried gummy bear? Or can we be ahead of that curve?
Well, so you got to get those shitty big ones, the giant ass ones. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're just eating fucking like fried dough that has like gooey corn syrup in the middle of it. Like,
yeah, that sounds. Actually, you know what I would do? I'd do Muddy Bears. I think that fried Muddy Bears would be excellent.
There you go.
This is the
shit.
real
Now
thing.
I want to go. See, this is now we're gonna go eat some fried food after this. See, yeah, like there's something just like really cool about it, and I think also the idea that it can really only happen at certain times of the year. So like it's this thing that can't happen all the time. There's just like even as a human, you're like, I can't do this all the time, but I can do it tonight because it's a fucking fair. So yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad that you enjoyed Sail Fest.
I had a good time. It was cool. I mean, like, and the best thing is it happened on my father's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. And he was lamenting. They've been in Alaska, and their train has just been delayed almost every step of the way home because they're like,
Oh,
we're going to ride the train home. Don't cry for them, Argentina, because they got to spend a day in Chicago on Amtrak's dollar.
wow.
And they had a wonderful time today. They're now riding back. But my father, I had sent him a video of the 4th of July fireworks show that we did, which was not much, but it was still fun as hell. And he's like, I really liked getting to see some fireworks because I wasn't home watching a fireworks display on 4th of July. So then I'm like, well, I don't really care about these fireworks, but I have a camera in my hand. So I took like really good videos of them and sent them to him as a birthday gift. And he loved them. And he's like, are those live? Are you there? And like the joy that I got from him in the text kind of made me love the whole thing a little bit more too.
There you go, Devon. You rediscovered the magic.
Oh, look at that. Rediscovering.
La la la.
Someone had to. Someone had to. I do too many la la las on this show. So I thank you for stepping up.
No worries, man.
So yeah, the Nintendo Switch Lite. That's crazy. I'm gonna get one. We haven't like that's a brief thing. It's weird.
Yeah, we should do some brief stuff because some crazy shit has gone on in the last couple of days,
definitely.
like, weeks even. But yeah, E3, all of that happened, and we've got some things that we still haven't talked about. The Nintendo Switch Lite. I know why it exists in the world. I am curious. I think it might be the thing I invest in. You know, we've been talking about the idea of maybe getting a second Switch in the house, but maybe this is the middle ground.
Right. I think it makes sense. The only thing that I don't dig about it is that it can't go onto a TV.
Yeah.
And I don't understand necessarily why it can't.
Because I think if they did, you'd have a lot of people that are not as savvy as you and I going, well, I'm just going to get this. Why do I need to buy a Switch? Like, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I do think think of that poor kid at Christmas where grandma went out and bought this thing because she thought it was that thing. Like, that's exactly the market you want to avoid. And I think that's what they're hoping to do by not letting it dock into a TV.
Well, all I'm saying is I don't think it needs to come with the dock, but if you purchase the dock sold separately, and those are like still $80.
And if it had a port on it, is what you're saying. Yeah.
And so you have the option because it has the option to connect with like Joy-Cons and Pro controllers to play those games that if the Joy-Cons are connected to the system, you can't play. Like it still is going to allow for that. So it's like, why not? I mean, because then people would have to buy the dock separate. And you raise the price of the dock a little bit, and then
it's a matter of creating a clear distinction. Though you say this is the one that goes on TV, this one that isn't. When like I said, when grandma's in the store, does your kid want the one that goes on the TV or no? Yeah, no.
I mean, I get it. I've been doing it. It just seems like the weirdest missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I almost wonder if maybe in 2 years we see one that comes with a port. Like maybe what if the next round comes out? Because I mean we're not talking about adding. I mean, you know, I'm talking to my ass here, but I cannot imagine we're adding too much to the whole thing by putting just a simple port on it with the ability to go on TV.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a USB-C port on it. I mean, there's going to be stuff once it comes out, people are going to test, and they're going to see that it doesn't work, but people are still going to test, and I'm excited for that Wild West of when it's out in the world. Also, I'm going to buy it and Link's Awakening the day that they come out. And it's going to be the game that I beat first on my Nintendo Switch Lite.
Yeah, that is a good point. We should we haven't talked about any of the Pokemon stuff. Just sticking with the Nintendo through line, like, and how first of all, this is the first time in forever that I'm excited about a Pokemon game coming out. Like, I'm not down on Pokemon. Like, you know, like I love that it's still a thing in the world. I love like the movies and shit like that. Detective Pikachu is amazing, but also I gushed on this very show about I Choose You and will to this day. I've rewatched it since I talked about it on the show. So like, I love me some Pokemon. The games have never hooked me in a way. You know, much the same way that I feel like a lot of people probably feel about the cards nowadays, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't remember playing the card game, they remember the video game. I don't remember really either. I'm like for me it was always the zeitgeist. Like I loved just the stuff that had come from Pokemon. And so this is the first time where I'm like, I think I'm gonna do this. Like the more and more I hear about it, the more and more excited I am. So like that's super cool to be happy and excited about a Pokemon game, possibly for the first time in my life.
I don't mean to be rude, but you know that you got to get a sword, right?
Okay, why are you getting Shield?
Because Dale is getting sword, I am getting shield, and I'm like 99% sure that Zach is getting shield.
Wait. Which one has? Because now we know that they have distinct bosses, which I for one think is fucking awesome. Well, which one is the one that has the? Oh god, I'm gonna forget now.
B.
No, the no. The distinct the other distinct gym leader
Alistair, he is
is
shield.
he is Shield. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. I then that's
That's
the one I need
fine.
to get.
I understand. That's fine. I get it. I'm just saying that's one sword in the Say Report family to three shields.
Well, but you got to remember that in my own personal household, I'll probably end up with both.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing.
So what will probably happen is I will definitely get Sword to play with all of us, but I will also have Shield for me to dabble in as well.
Yeah. I mean, I fully intend that because of the whole alternate gym leader thing, that, like, I'm going to finish Shield, and then Dale and I are going to switch carts. And since your save is no longer locked to your cart, though that might be changing with the Nintendo Switch Lite, I'll play through on Sword as well. Because, like, distinct gym leaders is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I don't. I'll be entirely honest. If you had told me they had been doing that all along, I would have believed you. Again, not like a huge like investment in the video games themselves. So like, it didn't sound so offensive to me like it seemed to some people because like as far as I knew, that just made sense. Why would you not with two different games anyway?
The only
But
thing
like,
offensive is that I don't want to fight Alistair. He creeps me out.
the biggest thing is for me that I cannot believe uh is just all of this bullshit
The
about
entitlement, the fucking
yeah.
entitlement.
And I just want to make it sure that it's on the record for us. And I'm sure that Zach will talk about this and Dale will talk about this at great length on their own show. So we don't need to like grind it into dust. But I firmly stand on the side of shut your fucking mouth. like these guys are creating a video game for you that is going to have a lot to it. It's not even like they're putting out like a skeleton of a game and you're just like, man, I really wish there was more here. They are giving you some pretty beefy gaming that you're about to have coming your way, and to complain that it's still not enough is the most like fat kid thing I've ever it's the most like it's American. It's the most American thing that I can think of that we could do. It's stupid. It's just stupid.
Well, what I think of is Pokemon X and Y, which is what got me back into Pokemon because I
Okay.
fell off after Diamond and Pearl. I still haven't finished Diamond. I got I think I have one gym left in Diamond that I need to defeat, and I'm like, no, I'm never doing it because I'm just bored with you now.
Yeah.
And that's fine, whatever. But then X and Y came out, and what I really dug about X and Y is as you travel that world, you got other Pokedexes, and like they were region locked that way. But it forced
Okay.
me to use different Pokemon in a way that these other ones where you could kind of use whatever from the beginning didn't.
Right.
And I think that's part of the reason why X and Y appealed to me. Also, I'm not ashamed of it. I bring it up all the time. X and Y appealed to me because there was a place to grind up your Pokemon after the second gym. So I was able to get a level 100 team of Pokemon stupid early in that game. And like it's still like 40 hours of playtime that I put in to get them there, but I
Yeah.
liked that I could do that.
Yeah,
That they
it's that
gave you that
gatekeepery JRPG fan thing where they're like, if you're not investing 160 hours to beef up, then you're not playing our game. And it's like, fuck, come on, man. 60 hours into a game, I should feel pretty OP in moments.
Yeah.
Not saying everywhere across the board, but like at some point, I need to be able to step back and feel like, hey, I've invested time in this, and I feel good about that decision.
All I want is the ability to play like battles whenever that actually add to my Pokemon's rank. Like
Yeah.
that's what worked about it, is that I like, all right, I'm kind of bored. I just want to fight some people right now.
For sure.
And then I'm like, oh wow, like I'm really gaining levels, and this is going to make the game more fun. Because for me, going out with a fully stocked team to catch them all is more fun than like, oh, my level 25 guy is having to fight a level 34 guy, but I'm water and he's fire, and what's going to happen? Like that's not
I
fun.
like I like the metagame being there, you know, like I do like that idea of the metagame being there, but also with the ability to be like, all right, technically I am just not at this level, so why don't I beef up myself muscly, right?
Right.
Like it's like I like having the choice. That's really what it comes down
Yeah,
to.
exactly. And like, or if I come to a point where I'm like, I am underpowered, I'll fly back to that place. I'll do a couple of trainer battles, and then I'll be ready to go. Like, I want trainer
Yeah.
battles to be something fun, not an annoyance while I'm going through the world.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, but yeah, so that's something exciting too. But any other little things that you want to bring up before we close her down?
I've been rereading Court of Owls. Did I mention that last week?
No, no, no. This is new.
Yeah, I just there's been a lot of weird stuff going on with Batman and DC and like and things there. There was a bit of a shakeup a couple of weeks ago, which was much more relevant than it seems to have passed by now. But it got me thinking, man, I want to go back and read some Batman that I enjoy. I hesitate to just say good Batman because there's good stuff all around. So I was digging through some of my Batman stuff that I have, and I have all of Court of Owls, like I was buying them as they were coming out. So I read that entire arc again, and it just reminded me of why Scott Snyder's Batman is going to probably be my Batman when it comes down to it, and people are like picking sides in these inevitable internet fights. I'm always going to fall on that side, because then right after that I decided to roll into some Grant Morrison stuff, because I've decided to bone up a little bit on some Robin history, a little pet project of mine that I'm doing with some Robin stuff, and so I wanted to read Batman and Sons in particular is the story that I'm reading, and it reminded me that, oh, that's right, I didn't really necessarily love Batman's writing before Scott Snyder either. Never mind after he left. Like, I think Grant Morrison has some really great ideas. I think he's stuck in his like late 90s, early 2000s writing in a way that really makes it hard to go back to. It's kind of like I'm rewatching Buffy right now and having the same weird feelings about like the Whedon group and Marty Noxon and the writing going on those shows, where it's like at the time this was really groundbreaking and important stuff, but this is really cringeworthy in a lot of places now. And Batman and Son is a perfect example of that. Stuff that at the time was seen as like groundbreaking Batman storytelling and legitimately changed the universe for the rest of time. I mean, with the introduction of Damian Wayne, like same with Scott Snyder in the Court of Owls, but I'm able to go back to an 8-year-old story in Court of Owls in a way that I can't go back to a 15-year-old story in Batman and Son, which is interesting. So yeah, just going through some Batman stuff and reevaluating my feelings about like comic writers and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, just because you brought up comics and we haven't had a good talk about it in a while, since I kind of got away from buying comics, since I was buying but not reading, got the confirmation that me dropping out on the IDW TMNT might not have been the worst thing I could have done.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this what year for like what years are we looking at for this
We're
time frame
looking at
wise?
literally last Wednesday's issue.
So like 2015 when they started, 2016?
Oh, those started in 2011. So the
2011. Okay.
2011 IDW TMNT comic books, they just had issue 99.
Okay.
And I mean, it was big because it became the longest running continual Ninja Turtles book when they released issue 73. And
Yeah.
there was a time when I was reading it that I enjoyed it because it sort of became a catch-all for everything that had happened in Ninja Turtles fiction up to that point. Like, anything was fair game. But it just got to a point where I'm like, I'm kind of bored with this. The stuff is not fun anymore. I just didn't like the direction, sort of like what you talked about with Batman.
Yeah.
And my dabbling back in it happened like last October when I found that they were turning the micro series on its head by releasing a macro series for each of the turtles. And
Right.
I only read Donatello and Michelangelo, but it turns out those two issues kind of set up what happened in the IDW TMNT continuity last week. And that is Fifth Turtle, who's a female.
Surprise! That's never been done before. Oh, wait. But anyway.
Um, and like Dale is my thing for it, and she even said, I've always kind of wanted a female Ninja Turtle. Like, as much as you have these strong female characters in it, I never had like a Ninja Turtle that I felt understood what it was like. And so like I'm like, good, right? Because representation is important. Where I have some issues is the fact that she was a human who got a blood transfusion from Leonardo, and that's what mutated her. Like, it wasn't a turtle coming up, or like just the origins seem weird. But
Yeah, that's a little awkward.
I mean, like, it's established. Like I said, it's been a catch-all. And in issue 22 of the original Mirage, a leech attaches itself to Raphael and becomes mutated because it drank mutated blood. So like, it's all there in the continuity that they've been borrowing from.
I feel like it'd be a really good introduction of like an anti-hero or villain story, though, more than a. Anyway, that's my brain trying to make it a more interesting than it probably ends up being. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is that like it was the IDW TMNT. I mean, just from what I've read in those two macro issues leading up to this, Splinter is now the head of the Foot Clan in America, and this girl. I believe her name is Jenica, is his second in command, and he views her like a daughter. So, like, that's one of the reasons that people are like, so she's already like one of Splinter's kids, and now she's a turtle. And that's interesting. She was dating Casey Jones, like her and Casey Jones were in a relationship. So I've read a lot of fan reaction that are like, well, now they're setting it up so that Jenica and Leonardo can get together, and Casey and April can get back together. Like, because I haven't read this book. Like, I will admit that I haven't read this book since about issue 30. Because, like, at that point, it had gone a bit too far for me.
Okay.
But it's just one of those things where, like, I saw Jenica get introduced, and that was in the macro series from Michelangelo, where, like, he's fighting Splinter because he believes he is becoming as ruthless as the Foot that they fought against for so many years.
Wow.
And I'm like, interesting. Like, this is a cool book. But then I'm like, I know who Jenica is. Oh, that's weird that they did it. But the thing that really, like, sticks with me about the whole thing is her bandana color. Do you want to take a stab? There's, 64 Crayola crayons. I'm sure you can make a guess.
Is it just yellow?
It's yellow.
Okay. Okay.
And it's not like they've shied away from yellow being April's color in these books. Like, I don't know what they've done in the past, but in the April micro series released in like 2012, it started with her having a dream that she was a mutant turtle and had a yellow bandana. So I'm like, it's not like that hasn't already existed before. Like, I'm glad they didn't go light blue with it, because that's just too Venus de Milo.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I'm trying to figure out here. Are they going that route of the Venus de Milo route, or even why do I keep thinking of a female turtle named Mona Lisa?
Mona Lisa is a salamander. She's a human who got mutated into a salamander.
Oh, okay, that's why I'm thinking of her though. Is because okay, so is that the route that they're going with her? Like,
I mean, she dated Raphael briefly in one episode of the original TMNT series, Series 4, Raphael Meets His Match. And her mutation also doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, she blows up the reactors that power the pirate guy's ship, and then in getting covered with the water, she for some reason becomes a lizard mutant.
Weird.
Like, there's not a lot of... Like, she's not mutated by mutagen.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they can be correcting that sort of stuff, right? Like, I'm just curious if they're building off of, because I think you're right. The idea of female turtle and all that stuff is cool and an interesting way to go. I guess I just don't have the faith in them to tell too original of a story about this, so I'm waiting to hear where like they just tie it back to something we already know.
Yeah, well, like, the thing for me is I kind of almost wish they went with a white bandana, because there was a time in the Archie comics. Archie Super Special number 11, called The Fifth Turtle, where April actually got mutated into a turtle. And her bandana color was white. And I'm like, that one doesn't bother me, though, because, like, in this one, yellow was definitely her color, but they did it like, we're going to give her a white bandana because it's no longer April. And, like, it almost worked for Jenica based on what I know of her. Also,
Yeah.
red would work as well because it's foot. They stayed away from, like, turtle breasts, which I give them credit for. Like, not a lot
Yeah.
of credit, but, you know. The other thing that sticks with me about it is Peter Laird was always vehemently against a female turtle. Like, it's a well-documented fact.
Yeah.
And his reason was not misogynistic or anything like that. It just had to do with the story that he wanted to tell.
Yeah.
And that story that he wanted to tell was very specifically, these are 4 people who their actions are it. They don't get a legacy. They can't have children. There's no future for their species. They are uniquely keyed up to have this one journey, and whatever they do matters in that one journey.
Yeah,
And
well, it's the
that's it.
truest of the aging samurai story, right? The
Yeah.
idea of the samurai at the end of their life, when all samurai have been disbanded, like what are they fighting for at that point? And you know, and like you're saying, the whole story comes about what they choose to fight for is the most important thing in their life.
Yeah. So, and it's one of those things where you don't want the first thought to be, well, if there's a female turtle, then the next logical step is female turtle turtle babies.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one could argue that she should be allowed to be seen as more than a baby factory, and if somebody chooses to see her that way, that's their problem, not. But
Right? No. But that's
I get the impulse to remove that entire process from the equation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's not the thing. It's just specifically, it's like, well, I know, I've spoken to Peter Laird about what his whole thought process was on it. And, like, it made sense. And I'm like, all right, I mean, like, you're the creator. I get creator rights. But then, like, I don't want it to go there. Like, I'm fine with literally all of the existing TMNT fan art about them finding, like, wives and then having children who are part turtle, part whatever the person that they decided to mate with was. Like, that stuff is interesting. I think that it's a fandom that uniquely filled in that gap, and it's just weird to see where, like, an existing true continuity goes. And it also 100% speaks to 100%, let's use words properly, speaks to what my issue has been with IDW in terms of their whole, like, Megillah when it comes to comic books.
Yeah, there's not a lot of shame at IDW. Let's put it that way. They are not afraid to kind of, well, let's be honest. The sex sells. IDW is not stupid. They know that. That's definitely part of it. Yeah, and they're not really known for their depth in a lot of places. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It sounds interesting enough to me that I'm glad it exists in the world, but not interesting enough for me to dive into and read. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not enough for me to, like, say, well, I'm going to start reading Ninja Turtle books again. It's just one of those things where I'm like, it's a cool reward for people who have been reading it.
Yeah.
But even then, like, some of those people are like, well, this feels like the moment where they jumped the shark.
Yeah.
So last thing, when we'll do it. Unicron, did you see the 27-inch Unicron toy?
Yeah,
I'm thinking about taking out a second mortgage to afford the $600 action figure.
Yeah, I'm very. The internet was aglow with it for a moment. It's a stupid thing that, again, I'm glad exists in the world, but I have no interest in myself.
It's a stupid thing that exists in the world and feels like it was built to fail, which is the craziest thing about it, because they need 8,000 people to purchase it based on only those prototype photos before they will create it. It is not this is coming soon. It is, we need you to guarantee us $600 right now, and you will get this figure in 2021.
It's a scary move for capitalism.
Yes,
it really is. Hey, the product's not even made yet, but if you give us your money now, you better believe it's going to be fantastic.
Look how fantastic the prototype looks.
Isn't that how the fucking Music Man goes?
Yeah, pretty much. Monorail. Yeah, it's just, it blew my mind. Like, I saw it and I'm like, I want it. And then I saw the price tag and I'm like, I don't want it that bad. And then to see that it's basically a corporation, it is Hasbro kickstarting their own thing internally. And it's just like, I guess it's the next logical evolution of capitalism. But just because you can do a thing, should you do a thing?
We as fans need to put our foot down now, because if we let this go, then there's no stopping it. This is the literal opening of the floodgates. Like, this is the moment when we either stop this shit or it will never go away. Because if this goes through, if this succeeds, fans are going to be taking advantage of it at a level that will be unprecedented, and they are already taking advantage of it every convention you go to.
I want to pick up my sword and I want to like take on this fight again. But after seeing the reaction to a special edition reprint of an already available Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection that was $30 going for $400, just because it had a different cover art and included like a sketch from Kevin Eastman. And I'm like, and like limited edition, so everybody like needed to get it right away. Like, that was when I'm like, I can't do this. I can't stand for this type of thing. And that's not even like a tangible thing like this Unicron thing. This is something you already own with a different cover.
I have some thoughts on this, but this is slowly turning into a whole other episode.
Yeah, so we'll hold it. I didn't realize that you would say this is the moment. And I'm like, I've stood at moments where I'm like, we can't stand for this. And again, it was IDW. I didn't expect that, like, tie-in.
Yeah.
But, like...
Told you, there's no fucking shame there, man. They know what sells. They will put something out there.
They know what sells, and they know that the fans are, like, so diehard that if anyone is to say, do you really think this is a good idea? The fans will fight for them.
You're right, exactly. The very people they're duping are going to be the people to come to their defense. Like, the fucking Music Man.
Yes. Okay, so there we go. So, apologies for this extra long episode, but I think we covered a lot of great topics. I just feel so good right now. This was cathartic in a way that I love. I'm excited to play your third Super Mario Maker level. And if you want to play Siege's Mario Maker levels, contact him on Twitter at Siege versus the World and ask for those codes.
Yeah, and then if you want to find out what Devon's playing and so that you can beat his world records, you can contact him at Devon D. Decker.
All right. Well, with that, like, gauntlet thrown, William, let's see how we've been weighed and measured and if we've been found wanting or not today. Have a great night, folks.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Serwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.